Okay. Hello, beautiful ladies. Um, my name is Mary Alvarez, and I will be talking to you all about explaining our Mary Kay receipts and our Mary Kay customer profile. Okay. I get asked a lot how to use them and or how to fill them out. Why are they important for a consultant to have all this information, and then what's absolutely necessary. So I'm going to go over that with you all today, okay? So we're going to go ahead and get started with our profile, customer profile card, which looks like this, okay? And it's really, really important for the customer to be filling this out, and not necessarily the whole profile card. We do have sometimes customers that are a little weary about sharing their information. They do ask, like, why do you need this? Do you absolutely need this? And so I'm going to tell you what's absolutely important, what's absolutely a must to have, and then the information that maybe, you know, if they're not feeling super comfortable sharing with you, then they don't necessarily have to share with you. But of course, if they want to fill the whole thing out, then that's even better. So usually this is what you do at your, the first thing that you do at your skincare class, right? So as you're setting up, or maybe you already set up, but you're maybe waiting for the rest of the customers, or, you know, even if everybody's there, you always usually do the customer profile card at the beginning. And so that's what you give them right away to make sure that they fill it out. So again, this is what it looks like. And so the customer is going to start up here. So first name, it says first name right here. So the customer's first name, customer's last name, they're the hostess. So if it's a party, right, who the hostess is, the person that you were in contact with. So let's say Brianna is the person that I was in contact with. She is the lead that I had, and so, you know, I booked the party with her, and then she invited some of her friends. So if she's the main person, she would be the hostess. So all her friends would write her name down right here, hostess, and then today's date, of course. And then birthday. So why would we need a birthday? And a lot of times they ask me, and of course they do not need to put the year if they're not comfortable with that. We just need the month and the date, or the day. And that is for a couple of reasons. So one, we can always give them, you know, say happy birthday. We can send them a text. We can maybe call them, depending on what we like to do. We can send them a gift card. We can send them just a happy birthday card. We can send them a little gift. There's so many things that we can do to show great customer service, right? To provide great customer service. And so that is why we want their birthday, okay? Occupation. So this is so that we know more about them. So one of the things that I love about Mary Kay is the relationship building, right? The relationship that we get to build with our customers. So we are not, we're not a company that goes door to door selling our product, right? So we are based on building relationships. And so the more we learn about our customers, the more, the better relationship that we end up having with them, the better bond. And then they see that we're genuine, they really do care about them. And so that's what the occupation's there for, just so that we learn more about them. So what do they do for a living, right? And then the next one is their wedding anniversary, and so that would be the same thing. So one, we get to know a little bit more about them. Two, we get to congratulate them on the date. Maybe we send them a little card, just so that they know that we remember. And then their address. So address is really important. Obviously, if we're going to be sending them cards, we need their address. Also, if they're going to be a preferred customer and we're going to be selling them lookbooks from the company, then of course we need their address. If we are going to either hand deliver a product or mail out a product, we need their address. So address is super duper important, okay? So address, city, state, zip code. And then the next one is the email, which is also really important because it's another way of communicating with them, right? So sometimes maybe if you, if this person, this customer prefers email, or maybe you haven't talked to this particular client in a while and they changed their phone number, well, at least now you also have their address and their email. So we want to have as many ways or methods of communicating with each of our clients or customers as possible. Okay, so email is super, super important. And then phone number, of course we want their phone number. Okay, that's usually the fastest way to communicate with most people, either via phone call or text message. So really, really important to have their phone number. We want to make sure that we have that. And again, a lot of times people were a little uncomfortable with providing, so make sure that before they leave on your one-on-one, you're always checking the profile card to make sure that they filled it all out if you didn't have time throughout the class, depending on how big the party was, or you know, whatever you were doing. But if you can, go ahead and check it as you're walking around as they're filling it out. Okay. So that is the phone number right there, and then it asks best time to reach me, either AM or PM. And then the next part, it's not, I mean, it's important obviously because we know we learn a little bit more about them, but it's not crucial. Okay, it's not like we can't continue without this information. So the next portion starts right here. And that says, I'm interested in learning more about. So it gives them different options. And again, so if they do fill this out, then you know what to talk to them about. So that then you know that, you know, at your follow-up appointment, or even at your next conversation, or maybe if you have a certain event regarding some of these things that you know that she would be interested in attending. Okay, so a couple options, additional skincare options, color application techniques, that actually gets asked a lot, makeup application techniques, earning hostess rewards, earning extra money, extra income. So then you would, you know that she is definitely interested and possibly a future team member. So it's also important, but again, it's not, if they don't want to fill it out right there and then, that's okay. As you build the relationship and you get to know them, then you'll be able to answer those questions. Okay, and then the next one, of course, you also want to have filled out, but same thing. If for whatever reason they're not super forthcoming with their information, that's okay. Okay, so the next one, that it's right here, it's the last portion on this side, is who can I share your product wish list with? So it has a space for 2 people. And so what that means, it's not like the fabulous game. So what this means is, who can I contact as your consultant for maybe during your birthday month or for a holiday, special occasion, about what to gift you. So for example, a lot of people put their spouses, right? So that gives me permission to contact the spouse and say, hey, you know, I am Brianna's consultant. I know her birthday's coming up. She loves, you know, X, Y, and Z, this product. She actually wasn't able to get it last time, but I know she really wanted it. This would be a great birthday gift. I can wrap it up for you completely free. I can deliver it. You know, we all do our services a little bit different, but whatever you're willing to do for a customer, then you can offer that. And I know most of us do gift wrapping, or even free gift wrapping. So you know, it's a great opportunity to contact and to get your customers the product that they really wanted. So that is the left side of the front of the customer profile card. And then on the other side, this is also important because it tells us about who they are. Again, we're getting to know them, but also what best product to recommend them, okay? So the very top one, the first one is age range. So it just says 20s, 30s, 40s, and so on and so forth. And then the next one, number 2 right there, it says your primary skincare needs. And so they would circle the one that they identify with. Number 3 is if I don't use a moisturizer, my skin feels. So number 3. And this one, a lot of people actually get confused with that, and they ask me, what does that mean? So the way I ask it or I explain it is I say, okay, so if you were just getting out of the shower, you haven't put anything on your face, you literally just got out of the shower, how does your skin feel? And then they're able to answer this question, okay? Number 4, other skincare needs or concerns. So again, they circle whichever ones apply to them. And that also includes eye area concerns and lip concerns. So eye area and lip, okay? And then number 5, preferred foundation finish. So it has matte, natural, or luminous. And if you need to explain that a little bit, if they're not sure, you can help them with that, okay? And then the very bottom, it says foundation type right here. So this one, they would actually leave blank because that's where I put which, or I write which foundation I gave them. So what was their match? So usually, you know, at the first appointment, we do CC cream, a quick dash out the door with a CC cream. And so that's where I would put, if they were very light, light to medium, medium to deep, whatever shade they were, that's where I would write it. Obviously to remember if they're gonna, whether they're gonna buy it right there and then, or if I contact them later and say, you know, I know you really like the foundation we tried, are you ready for it? Or maybe they contact you, which is awesome when they do, right? They contact us and they say, hey, I remember the foundation you gave me, it was the perfect match, I loved it, I know I wasn't ready for it then, but I am now, so I like to take that. And if you didn't write it down, then, you know, it doesn't look great on you, because now you're gonna have to say, actually I need to meet with you again so that we can match you again. So you don't want to have to go through that. If you write it down right there, then you know exactly which shade she is, and you can just have it ready for your customer, okay? One of the very neat tricks that actually I accidentally discovered, or somebody told me, but it was like, I can't remember, it was months within after I had started my business, I did not know this, was that if you flip over to the other page, it's like magic, the company is amazing, right here in the gray area, it actually gives you ideas of what to recommend for your customer depending on what they said about their skin, okay? So for example, number 2, right here, number 2. So it said primary concerns, right? Or primary skincare needs, I'm sorry. If they said sensitive skin, for example, if they, you know, if they have sensitive skin, and you flip it, you would realize that you could recommend, or that you should or would recommend, the botanical set. Okay, so it actually tells you which product you should recommend and which product is most likely the best fit for them depending on their skincare needs. So that's very helpful, especially when we're starting with our business, and if we're not super familiar with the product, that is always really helpful. Okay, now we're gonna turn the profile card around, and right, so when you give it to them and they start, the only question that they would really answer on the back before you do anything else is number 6. So the first question on the back. The rest would be after you're done with your skincare class, okay, or your facial or your party, whatever you prefer to call it. So number 6, only the first one, and that says, what new look would you like to try? And usually this is at your second appointment, okay? So for example, like natural, everyday, trendy, bridal, glamour, whatever they prefer or whatever they would like. But that is it, okay? They fill that out and then they're done until they go through the whole skincare class, okay? Because number 7 says, of the products you tried today, which ones would you like to take home? Now, I personally never have my customers fill this out themselves. I always ask these questions during our one-on-one time. So once we are done with their skincare, and then we're done with the quick dash out the door, I've explained the sets that I have for the day, the specials, and then I take them one-on-one away from the table. I ask them these questions and then I write it down myself. And usually I write it down right here in this. This is the consultant portion. That's for independent beauty consultants use only. So this is where I would personally write it down. But I know a lot of consultants, a lot of directors do have their customers flip over their profile card and have them write it down. So it really is your preference. I know both ways work. I just prefer to ask them myself. Okay, so that would be number 7. Number 8 would be, of the products you tried today, which would you like to add to your wish list? So, you know, the first question is, what are you taking today? Second question is, if you're not taking it today but you loved it, would you like to add it to your wish list? Okay, again, I personally don't have them do this, but if you like, you can. Otherwise, I make my notes for myself down here. Okay, so that is the profile card. Super simple. Always make sure you use this though for notes. Okay, now going on to our receipt. So our receipt looks like this. Okay, really important to fill it out. I know a lot of times we feel pressure, or we even pressure ourselves because of the customer. We feel like, oh my God, the customer needs to go, or the customer's in a hurry, or the customer has another appointment, or whatever it may be. So we really pressure ourselves and rush ourselves. But it's so important to fill this out. And if you can fill it out during the time with your customer, your life is going to be so much easier at the end, because then we forget, then we really don't have time, we leave it till the last minute, and then it just never gets done. Like, so many things can happen. So really important to just fill it out when you are with the customer. It really doesn't take that long. Okay, so and this usually we fill out ourselves, again, unless, you know, for whatever reason you have them do it themselves, but usually you do it on during your one-on-one. So this is first name. So first name, print. Obviously we want to make sure that we're able to read that. Right here, the hostess name, so that we remember which party this was from. Last name, so first name, the last name, date, their address. So a lot of this information, you can say it's redundant, and yeah, it kind of is, but we want to make sure that we have all the information, even if it's on 2 different pieces of paper, because we're going to keep those together eventually. But if for whatever reason, you know, during our first appointment, we, you know, file them separately, then we want to make sure that we're able to put them back together. So if we have 2 Briannas and we didn't put the address, we didn't put the last name, we didn't put any other information, then we're not really going to know which Brianna it was, especially if, you know, our memory is not always great. I know for myself it's not. So it's really important to have all this information down. Okay, so address, again, city, state, zip code. Email address, again, their email address, super important to have. And then how are they paying? Are they paying with check or cash, a card? And if they're paying with a card or a check, you want to make sure that you write down the information. So if it's a card, obviously you want to make sure you write it down. Even though I know we can use Square, we can use Venmo, we can use PayPal, we can use various ways of taking payment, which I'm not really going to go over at the moment. But even if you immediately charge your card, so if you're, for example, I use Square, if I immediately input her information on my Square app and I charge her card, I still always want to have it here, okay, just to be sure. So her card number, I'm indicating that it's a card, and then the 3 digits in the back, the expiration date, and all of that. Okay, here I want to make sure I get my customer's signature all the time. Okay, whether you're getting a check, cash, doesn't matter. Always get their signature, but especially if it's a card. Okay, always get their signature. So important. And then right here, their phone number. Again, you want to have it in multiple places, okay? Now, how to fill this out, okay? This is important. So right here, this is quantity. So the quantity, how many of each items are they taking? So for example, if it's one miracle set, so that you would put 1, and then you put miracle set 3D right here, okay? Now, you wanna be super specific because again, once the customer runs out of the product and they wanna order it again, it's not really their job to remember what they order in the first place. It's your job to remember what they had and be able to replace it, okay? So if it is a miracle set 3D, then you do number 1, right? Quantity, number 1, miracle set 3D, and then which type, which one was it? Was it normal to dry, combo to oily? So you wanna make sure that you do that in parentheses so that you remember. And then the price, okay, so it's 110. Now over here it says, so this is price and the amount. What's the difference? Well, the price is the price of the individual product. The amount is if they had more than 1 quantity. So for example, if it was 2 miracle sets instead of just 1, if it was 2, then the price would be 110 because that's how much each miracle set is. But then the amount would be 220, right? So it'd be basically quantity times price equals amount, okay? That's basically how it works. Now let's say they also got a CC cream. So again, you would put number 1, so they're adding 1 CC cream. You would write right here, CC cream, and then in parentheses, whatever type they had, so, or which shade, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry about the lighting. I know the lighting's horrible, but, so if it was like very light to medium, medium to deep, you know, whatever shade it was. So you wanna make sure that you're specific. Same thing with lipsticks, anything really. You wanna be specific so that way when the customer reaches out to you and says, I need a refill, I need another one, you know exactly what to give them. Or if they say, you know what, this actually didn't work, then you know exactly what you already gave them and when you're not gonna give them again, okay? So, and if it's just 1, all ones right here, you know, 1 times whatever price, it's gonna be the same thing. So you don't necessarily have to write it down twice, but that's, you know, up to you. Okay, so now let's say they do a miracle set 3D, so that's 110, and a CC cream that's 20. So that's 130 in total. So right here where it says subtotal, it's going to be 130, okay? That's where the 130 is. Now these 2 squares right there are for any discounts or hostess credit that you are offering. So for example, if you're going to give your hostess, let's say you gave them or you offer them a $10 gift card, that's where you would write it. So you would do right here in this second square, you would put minus 10. So you have 130 right there, minus 10. Now in this square, I usually write the description of the discount. So why did I give them a discount? Why did I give them $10 off? So I would write on there hostess credit or a gift card or whatever the reason was so that I remember why I gave them that discount, okay? So 130 minus 10, new subtotal right here. I think it's hard to read, but new subtotal, that would be 120, right? So 130 total minus 10, 120. Okay. Now sales ticket, so, or sales tax. So I'm sure you all already are aware of this, but when we purchase a product from Mary Kay, we actually already pay taxes. So we have to pay those up front, and we do charge taxes to our customers. They do pay us back the taxes. And so when we pay taxes, we actually pay taxes for the retail amount. So that means that we pay taxes for 130, okay? We didn't pay taxes for our 50% off, right? So even though this is 130, when we purchased it from Mary Kay, we only paid half of that, right? So that is what, 65, right? Is my math right? 65. So we only paid 65. However, in terms of taxes, we did pay taxes for the 130. So retail taxes, not our wholesale tax or wholesale price. So so right here it says sales tax. We're gonna figure out sales tax from the 130, which is the retail amount. So before the discount, because that's exactly how much we paid already. We already paid Mary Kay. So we want to make sure that we're getting our tax money back. Okay, so we're gonna figure out taxes from 130. So the way we figure them out is we're gonna times the total times 0.0775. So it's gonna be 30 times, let me get my phone. It's gonna be, I'm sorry, 130 times 0.0775. Okay, so that is 10.08, so $10.08. So again, taxes is the total amount of wholesale, no, I'm so sorry, retail, not wholesale. So the total amount of retail before any discounts you give them, okay, before any credit, before any anything else that you might have done with their receipt. It's always the full amount of retail. So in this case, 130, and then times 0.0775. Okay, so then it's $10.08, which we're gonna put right here. It says sales tax, and so right here we had 120 plus 10.08. Total is 130.08. Okay, so this is the total right here, total. Okay, so 130.08. And then the other thing that I also always like to add to my receipts is paid. So I like to write it really, really large, paid, so that I remember this. This one was paid, especially when they pay cash, because I do offer a payment plan. And so if that's the case, I want to make sure that I write it down. Okay, so whether it's a payment plan, I write them down. I write it down, and I specifically write the dates when we've agreed that they're going to make a payment and how they're going to make a payment. Or if they paid in full, I write paid in large letters so that I know exactly, I can see it really, you know, at first glance that this has been paid. Okay, all right, I hope that this was helpful. I hope you learned a lot from this. If you have any questions, remember you can get my information right below, and let me know if you think of anything else that you'd like to learn through a video. Okay, well, thank you so much, and have a great one.